Hey, what's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I am finally getting around to watching that latest M. Night Shyamalan thriller. It's Old. Old is essentially about a group of people that wind up on a very mysterious beach that affects the cells in their body, forcing them to age at a rapid rate, and they must learn the trick to escape, as the way they came immediately knocks them unconscious. If they don't figure out how to leave, they could all be dead in a day. As I try to remind everybody in my reviews of literally anything M. Night Shyamalan related, I think that he gets far too much crap, and lately I've been enjoying his comeback of sorts. So when I heard that Old wasn't his best, but thankfully not his worst, it sounded to me like he was getting better than where he was at, so I was pumped to see him back at his roots. But that's not necessarily the case here. A lot of people have claimed that Old is the best thing since Shyamalan's whatever they thought was his best movie. And I'm sorry, but that's kind of silly. His latest few films have been solid to decent. His revisitation with the characters in Unbreakable with Split and Glass wasn't exactly masterful stuff or anything, but it was cool. And I actually really dug The Visit. Now that was his best film since take your pick. But I've even been a fan of some of his most hated films too, like The Happening. Now I understand that that movie is very flawed, but it had a killer concept. It just wasn't executed very well. I even think After Earth had a great concept, and that also wasn't executed very well either. Old? I don't know, guys. I think that this one is one of his safest and uncreative storytelling choices I've ever seen. A plot revolving around rapidly aging people? I mean, who hasn't done that at this point? It's so common that it's turned into a trope. One website in particular that lists off tropes and the forms of media that contain them has a page dedicated to rapid aging, and the list of movies, TV shows, books, comics, and etc. that contain it is extremely long. We've all seen it done before, and arguably done better. I just can't believe that M. Night would choose a very saturated concept for his film, especially because he doesn't do it very well. What do I mean by that? Well, to answer that, I'm gonna have to list off some very mild spoilers, most of which I think you can see in the trailer, and most don't really ruin anything of the plot. Cool? Cool. So this film kind of sort of surrounds an element of health in general, and sometimes medical knowledge goes into that. And Shyamalan doesn't even try to be realistic. At one point, a character needs a tumor removed that had grown exponentially because time itself just seems to be acting weird on the beach. And so they cut her open to cut out the tumor. And guys, they just reach into her body and take out this basketball-sized tumor like it was just sitting in there, not attached to anything. That's not how tumors work. Come on. Another aspect of the film has two kids that start out at 6 years old. When they turn into teens, I'm sure that hormones were a thing in their bodies. I do get that. That makes sense. But 6-year-old brains shouldn't know exactly what to do about those hormones. Okay? That's both confusing and disturbing at the same time. Finally, this is the most important thing to say about this film. There's a lot of what I want to say is exposition as to when the character's trying to figure out what's going on. Most of that felt self-explanatory, and again, stuff we've seen and heard before 1,000 times. So there's a lot of moments with dialogue that seems pointless, almost like it's a character study with characters that aren't even that interesting. The film as a whole was a by-the-books, trope-heavy thriller film about a few people that end up rapidly aging, with maybe a twist ending that Shyamalan is known for, but even that I'm questioning. Let's be honest. If anyone else made this movie, people would just look the other way and think, okay, a movie that does the same thing a billion other TV shows have already done. The one good thing about this film is the same good thing with every Shyamalan film, and that's the way he shoots his movies. You can always tell when Shyamalan is behind a camera directing a scene, an episode of a TV show, or a film. He has a specific way about him, and I do like that. That really helps with the cinematography and some of the atmosphere of the film. It does feel creepy because of it. But at the end of the day, that's the only positive that I can say about this movie. Everything else is pretty much business as usual. I mean, I don't know. Let's go ahead and break down my final score. From a technical, unbiased perspective, Old is fine. I mean, the concept is, as the title suggests, old and overdone, but it's done fine enough. If this was the only version of this trope I've ever seen, I'm inclined to think I would like it and find it original and creative, right up M. Night's alley, actually. But at this point, it is overdone. The characters feel like they're trying a little bit too hard to be important, but at the end of the day, I didn't really care about them. And the structure is predictable. It looks nice, though. The cinematography is great, and it's certainly a very vibrant film, but that's about it. Everything is business as usual. This score is 64%. My bias score, or just how I personally felt about it, is a little bit lower because I'm not sure what all the rage was all about. Practically everything else M. Night has done, I've preferred, even the bad ones, because at a certain point, they can be seen as so bad that they're good. This is right down the middle of the road, so it ended up feeling kind of boring to me. This score is 58%. When we combine the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 61%. 61 out of 100 possible stars, or a C letter grade. Guys, I need to hear from you. What did you think about Old? And how do you compare it to other M. Night Shyamalan films? Let me know, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, and until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert, he is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie.